The first quarter of 2025 for the UFC calendar quarter, because I think their fiscal year starts in June, but it is what it is. We're not going to get into all the business bullshit right now. The first quarter of the year, January, February pay-per-views look absolutely stacked for the UFC. We're going to talk briefly about those fights that have been announced and just my thoughts overall on the card. I think 311 literally is a generational card. I know we talked about 310 being stacked, and on paper it was. The prelims were sick, but it did underdeliver by the time the fights actually got going. There were a couple stinkers in there. Really, I don't see how some of these fights can actually be stinkers. I think they're going to be some really, really fun and good ones, and a lot of implications going on in these fights. So I'm going to break it down with you, but one of the most important ones, the main event between Arman Tsarukyan versus Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title. It's a rematch. Fuck off with that bullshit. They want me to keep getting that stuff. No. I think this card's fucking stacked, man. Islam versus Arman is the lightweight title fight that needs to happen. Arman coming off a win against Charles Oliveira, which was a dicey win, but it was a win, technically. Doesn't have to do his anti-bullying video because they get to wait until January. Based fucking anti-bullying video. We need to bring bullying back. People need to stop being such bitches. But Islam Makhachev, monster. Like 3 defenses at lightweight so far. One against, technically 2 against Volk. He took the belt off Oliveira. He also defended it against Poirier. Now, he also has a win under his record against Arman Tsarukyan, but that happened a long time ago, brother. Long time ago. And that was Arman Tsarukyan's UFC debut. He took the fight on short notice and gave Islam Makhachev one hell of a fight. Makhachev did win it, but since then, both guys have tremendously improved. I'm going to lean Islam Makhachev in this fight. I do think Arman Tsarukyan is one of the toughest possible matchups for Islam Makhachev, not named Ilia Topuria. Listen, Arman's got great grappling, tremendous scrambles. I think the scrambles in this fight are going to be crazy. A lot of fun. A lot of high technique. The striking as well. I think Arman's striking is sneaky decent. But when I look at Islam's striking and Islam's grappling, I just think he does everything that Arman does a little bit better. Athleticism, I'm going to be brutally honest, in terms of coordination and athleticism, I do think I lean Arman Tsarukyan, but when we look at finishability, I'm leaning back towards the Islam Makhachev way. So I like the ability of Islam Makhachev to finish fights, whether it be on the feet or on the ground. I like Arman Tsarukyan a lot. I like his skill set. He is a live dog in this fight, of course, but it's Islam Makhachev. I got to keep picking this guy until, I'm shown that, he can lose, because he had a tough fight against Poirier, right? But he obviously had staph infection and then got a finish in the fifth round after being up 3-1 on the scorecards. Now, I know there were judges, I think, that had a 2-2. A lot of people on Twitter had a 2-2. Listen, just because Dustin Poirier overperformed doesn't mean he gets the round that you think he overperformed in. Islam Makhachev still won 3 out of 4 of those rounds. I want to say it was the 3rd or the 4th that Poirier, I think it was whichever round Poirier had Makhachev against the fence and was just slamming body shots and really hurting Islam and then cut him open as well. That's the round he won. I don't remember if that was 3 or 4, but I think Islam Makhachev is going to win this fight. I get he had a tricky fight against Volk and Poirier. Those are really, really good competitors. Poirier looked tremendously improved, but Islam Makhachev was not 100% in that fight. I think Arman Tsarukyan, while he's a great fighter, I just think that I think Islam's a little bit better everywhere. So I'm leaning Islam to start the fight, but who knows, man? This is going to be a fight that has some hype behind it. No, they got a lot of respect for each other, but we're going to move on to the co-main event, which is Merab and Umar, 2 guys that, they pretend like they have respect for each other. They fucking hate each other, and I don't think they respect each other at all. Just realized you didn't get to see Arman's pretty face. Yeah, dude, Merab and Umar is going to be a sick fight. Maybe the fight itself isn't going to be as fun, but the whole lead-up's going to be good. I would have thought that I don't give a fuck about a Merab Dvalishvili fight going into this. And then he starts yapping, bro. And he starts just talking at the press conference, building up hype, going at Umar, just attacking him. Umar's trying to give it back a little bit, but trying to act like he's been respectful when he has been totally yapping on Twitter the whole time. Which is fine. I want hype and I want intrigue to the fight. Just don't act like you haven't been doing it, because you have been doing it, little bro. This is a sick fight. It's probably the best fight we could make at bantamweight for the title for Merab right now, because you look, it's like, do you give O'Malley the rematch? Nah, he just lost and it was not a fun fight. You're not going to sell more pay-per-views with that being the fight again. It was dull the first time. Petr Yan versus Merab. Listen, I think Petr Yan coming off 2 wins has a damn good case. He beat the guy that would have been fighting for the title if Figgy won, but I don't want to see the rematch just yet. I want to see Merab fight a guy that hasn't contended for the title yet, that hasn't actually fought Merab yet. And Umar's another guy that I think actually gives Merab a lot of problems. I'm sorry, not Umar. Corey Sandhagen's another guy that I think gives Merab a lot of problems, but Umar won that fight 3-2. Debatably 4-1, but Umar won that fight. And it wasn't a thrilling fight. It was technical, it was all right, but it wasn't thrilling, wasn't super action-packed. It was a lot of trading at range and then grappling and counter-grappling. I think that Merab's strength, as we all know, is the wrestling. It's really his cardio, because his wrestling's okay. Like, he gets his takedowns, but I don't think it's based off having insanely good technique. I think he's just physically strong and will consistently hunt for the takedowns to the point where at some point he gets it. Now, he was able to get them against Yan and O'Malley. Those guys are good. And O'Malley uses his range really well, and we saw when he used his range well, Merab was having trouble getting on the inside. He was dancing on the outside like a gremlin playing fucking maracas for a mariachi band. But when he does this, hey guys, hey Sean, don't hit me, please guys. I think Umar uses his range not as well as O'Malley, but better than Petr Yan did. And I think Petr Yan is a good enough striker to hurt Merab and things like that. But where he runs into issues is he's really good on the inside, in the pocket, at boxing range, in the clinch. And Merab's just close enough where he's going to be able to spam takedowns on Petr Yan with Petr Yan's fight style, where Umar has tremendous wrestling defense, which is what we saw from Petr Yan. Petr Yan had insanely good wrestling defense. He kept getting up. Merab just kept shooting. I don't think Merab's going to have as much success continuously shooting here on Umar. I think Umar's going to be able to scramble with him, going to be able to stuff a lot of these takedowns. But I also think where Umar's going to have a little bit of advantage is in that range, kind of like O'Malley did, where he's going to have his moments at range where he's point fighting and he's scoring points and winning rounds by staying on the outside, kicking, using his jab, and then sprawling takedowns, where Merab's not having any success and Umar is actually landing at range and doing enough. I think at points you'll see that there's a moment where Umar's going to reverse the takedown from Merab. People are going to go crazy for it. He's going to have top position. Merab's just going to find a way to scramble to his feet, but maybe Umar lands a knee up top. We're getting too detailed into it. I do just think Umar's going to beat Merab. I think he's the kind of guy to beat it, staying on the outside and being able to sprawl. But this is a sick fight. There's going to be a ton of hype behind it. Like, they're going to yap at the press conference. It's going to be sick. They're going to have moments where they're pushing and shoving each other at weigh-ins, or the ceremonial weigh-ins. It's going to be fun, man. Now, do I think Umar is a deserving title contender? I hate that he just gets gifted a Corey Sandhagen fight. We know he's good enough to be at the top. We do know. But I hate that he didn't have to go through the ringer at bantamweight like everyone else does. Dude, even one more fight before the Sandhagen fight, like, if he fought a Mario Batista, beats Mario Batista, if he fought a Song Yadong, beats Song Yadong, then gets a Sandhagen fight, like, I'm much cooler with that being, like, tested, deserving contender. But instead he gets jumped up to Corey Sandhagen right away, wins a decision that was very pitter-pattery, and now he's like, title fight. When you have guys like Figgy, who's coming off a 3-fight win streak at bantamweight, didn't get it after being a flyweight champion, who's now going down to fight at flyweight, I believe, against Pantoja, like I predicted in the matchmaking video. So make sure you go check that out. But I just don't think Umar was as deserving to get this. But he is, what I will admit is he is the only guy that's actually going to get. It's the only fight of any intrigue for Merab right now to me. I'll say, call spade a spade. Do I think he deserved to jump up and fight Sandy and now automatically get a title shot? No, he has one win in the rankings, and it happens to be against one of the best guys. I get it. But he's not as battle-tested as I'd like to see. The problem is, Merab has already beaten all the other guys that can possibly contend with him, other than Sandhagen, who lost to Umar in a pretty convincing decision. So, yeah, Merab versus Umar's happening. I actually think it's going to be a really entertaining build-up, so that's going to be good to help with this fight. And I said, listen, when I made the 310 card builder, or 311 card builder, I said you got to have Makhachev versus Arman on it. But Merab and Umar are going to struggle to sell a pay-per-view by themselves. You got to put them on the co-main of Islam versus Arman, so that way people are watching to watch Islam. Oh my God, there's this Umar guy that's undefeated. Maybe he's going to get the title. Or Merab, can he actually beat the undefeated Nurmagomedov? Like, that's going to build hype because the eye's coming in from Makhachev versus Sarukian. We've already talked about Jiri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill. I really think Jamal Hill's too technical, and I think he's going to sleep Jiri. pretty badly. Think it's going to come pretty early in the second round. But this is a fun fight. They're going to yap. Jamal Hill's always yapping. He's making things interesting. He had his confrontation with Alex Pereira, and they kind of went back and forth at it. And Jamal's, listen, I get why Pereira kind of punked him by, throwing the gloves at him. He did. And Jamal's like, why don't we just stand on business, do this right here, right now? It's like, all right, relax. We've already been slept by the guy. Let's not get slept 6 weeks before a Jiri Prochazka fight. But I understand why you're not fucking throwing the gloves on and going to spar with Alex Pereira, because those guys aren't going to go light on each other. Pereira's probably going to be fighting sometime in March. Jamal Hill's literally fighting in 5 weeks from today. You can't hurt yourself before going into Prochazka fight but potentially making you compromise in that fight against a knockout guy like Jiri. So it's smart. It is what it is. I think that Jiri and Jamal is going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to end in a crazy finish, and I think Jamal's going to call out Pereira, and we're going to see a lot of boos on the mic. But I think Jamal's going to get this one done. It's a sick fight that we have wanted for so long, and we finally get it. Kevin Holland and Renier de Ridder's a sick fight. Renier de Ridder, I think Bedtime calls him the DDP. He is literally DDP 2.0. I don't know that that's the case. I do think his grappling's great, and I do think his striking is unorthodox, and he found a way to knock down Gerald Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschaert can be tricky. He's got the Kevin Holland fight here. Not making a prediction yet. I just don't know which Kevin Holland will show up. Part of me is leaning Renier de Ridder here, just by figuring out a way to get on the inside and get on the ground. But I don't know. I actually think this is a good fight. There's some hype behind it. It's going to be on the main card. I dig it. Kevin Holland, Renier de Ridder's a great ad. Pay-per-view sales coming from that. And then Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. This is the matchup I want for Moicano, man. It's winnable for him. We can see how good he is on the ground going against a guy like Dariush who's great on the ground, and a guy that has seriously derailed hype trains in the past before. Now, I get that he lost coming off knockouts to Arman Tsarukyan and Charles Oliveira back-to-back. Moicano's a dog too, bro. He's always in this fight. And I love that he's turning around on 3.5, 4 months notice to take this fight, jump up in the rankings, because Moicano's being criminally disrespected in the rankings, not on Tapology. Tapology did him right by putting him 7 here, but he's at 11 on the UFC rankings. Should be higher than that. He just mollywopped Benoit Saint-Denis. He finished Jalen Turner. He beat Drew Dober by decision. He's got good wins, really, really good wins. Even his outside the rankings wins are good, the Drew Dober win. But now he's getting a Beneil Dariush matchup. There's going to be hype behind this fight. But, look at the rest of this card. It's insane. The prelims. Rinya Nakamura, Munyan Gafarov. Munyan Nakamura is a really, really good prospect. Munyan Gafarov has a disgusting hairy spot on his back that we're all going to talk about on Twitter. So, that's got intrigue. Spivak versus Almeida. Listen, we got Tom Aspinall coming down the pipeline for one of these guys, whoever wins. I think Almeida's going to get it done, but this is an interesting fight. It's a ranked heavyweight fight, and they put it on the prelims where it fucking belongs. Johnny Walker versus Anthony Smith 3. I mean, come on, guys. Sick fight. Sorry, Johnny Walker versus Anthony Smith 2. This isn't Ryan Spann. Listen, someone's getting put to sleep in this fight. Think it's going to be really, really interesting, really fun. It's also on the prelims, a ranked light heavyweight fight that's guaranteed in a knockout. Carol Rosa, Eileen Perez. Carol Rosa is always in fun fights now. She's coming off 3 fun fights in a row. Eileen Perez make that fucking thing jiggle like it's a fucking jello shot or whatever. That'll have some intrigue. My eyes will be glued to the screen. Zachary Reese, Cedric Dumas. Zachary Reese coming off a crazy good knockout win. Actually, he also had a boring decision. Cedric Dumas sucks. Whatever. That's a good first fight of the card. We get Peyton Talbot versus Ronnie Barcelos on the card. Hype there. Tercios versus Sopaj. Sopaj, I think, is actually pretty good. Tercios sucks balls. Grant Dawson, Diego Ferreira for the number 15 spot at lightweight. Sick fight. Great grapplers. Diego Ferreira's got more power and is better in the striking, in my opinion, but Grant Dawson's a real dog. Sick fight here. Tagiru Mbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. That's a big jump for Clayton Carpenter. Holy shit. They really think highly of him, huh? I do too. This could be a scrap, but an interesting fight, to say the least. Then we get on to UFC 312, and it is Strickland versus DDP. I didn't know it was going to be. Originally, I thought it was going to be this, but I said, there's no way Strickland wants to go fight in another country other than America again. But UFC forced his hand, and this is a great rematch. Now, here's the thing. I understand that Dricus versus Hamzat is the fight to make. But you almost know that Dricus versus Hamzat isn't happening until Ramadan's over. So what do? while a couple weeks before Ramadan starts, you make this fight. So that way there's hype behind the winner, which I believe will be Dricus or Sean Strickland, because they'll both go at it with fucking Hamza. Dricus in the way that's, hey, mate, I don't know what you think you're doing. You think you can beat me? You can't even beat the common cold. I have a terrible Dricus impression. Or we can do Strickland, dude. Here's the fucking thing, you guys. Hamzat's a fucking scam artist, bro. We're gonna go to fucking war. It's gonna be for you guys. I'm telling you. In the American way, we're gonna show that fucking Kadyrov-loving terrorist that fucking how to do it in America, bro. Fucking crypto scams. Like, that's a fucking Sean Strickland style. The winner is going to chirp at Hamzat. Hamzat's going to chirp back. I do think that Dricus du Plessis is going to shut the door on the Sean Strickland rivalry in this one. Now, I will say, still think Strickland won the first fight. I just think that Dricus is going to be the guy that's making more adjustments to come into the next fight more prepared. And I think he actually is going to find a way to sleep strong Sean Strickland in this fight. I get Strickland's got a good chin, but I just think Dricus has a lot of power. He mixes things up and makes things so weird and unorthodox where, listen, the unorthodox style between these two, I think, starts to get nullified because they fought each other literally a year before, or a year and a month before this event's happening, but I think it's an intriguing matchup. The winner's obviously getting Khamzat Chimaev, and Khamzat's getting his title shot. But this is going to build hype behind a winner, because if you continue to wait to do this a year after Dricus or Sean Strickland beat Paulo Costa, or a year after Dricus beat Israel Adesanya, it's losing its hype and its aura. You have Khamzat Chimaev coming off a huge win where there's a ton of hype for middleweight right now because of how he beat Robert Whittaker, my Pookie Bear. And now you got Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. Whoever wins this fight is going to have hype, and it's going to draw right into that Khamzat matchup where it's going to be the biggest fight of the year. Unless Elite Poirier has something to say about it. But Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland 2 is being made. I'm going to go with Dricus to win this fight by finish this time. But it's a good fight. It's going to be intriguing. The first fight was pretty fun and entertaining. I think this one's going to be very similar, but I think it's going to end in a decisive finish for Dricus du Plessis. They'll talk shit all the way in the lead up to the fight. It'll be entertaining. I love it. I love that fight being made, and I love the fact that, like, it's timed perfectly where the winner has 3 months, 4 months, 5 months off before they start looking at that Khamzat fight, and they're going to be fully prepared for it. We know Khamzat's not taking a fight in the meantime. He doesn't fight more than once every fucking 18 months, so it is what it is. But this sets up that Khamzat fight really well, whoever wins it. And then Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez. I'm seeing everybody and their mother pick Tatiana Suarez. She's a great grappler. She's a tough matchup for Zhang Weili. Yeah, I get it. Everyone says she's the best grappler in the division. Dude, I honestly think that Virna Jandiroba could sub her. I'm just going to say that. I can see Virna Jandiroba subbing her. But I think Weili Zhang's going to win this fight. Like, Weili Zhang's improved her wrestling a lot. And I know that she still has a little bit of a hole there, but she has improved her wrestling a lot from when we used to say that she doesn't have wrestling, she's just a striker. And she's shown it in other fights where she's out grappling Yan Xiaonan. She's out grappling, like she's using her grappling to beat Amanda Lemos. Like, she's doing these things that are showing us the improvement. Tatiana Suarez, I just don't think she's that good on the feet, and I think when it does get to the feet, you're going to see Weili Zhang start to land like body kicks and shit like that are really going to hurt Tatiana Suarez, land low kicks that are going to make it hard for Tatiana Suarez to get pressure on those takedowns, or at least push off the back foot. It's an intriguing fight. Would have liked to seen Tatiana Suarez get a little more tested. Like, if her and Virna Jandiroba gets the winner, or gets Zhang Weili, like the winner of that fight gets Zhang Weili, it makes more sense. But I get it. We need to see Zhang Weili fight more than once a year. She hasn't fought since UFC 300. Turn around and make her fight quick. I'm cool with it. Weili Zhang, Tatiana Suarez, interesting fight. I'm going Weili Zhang. But, like, dude, UFC 311 stacked. UFC 312 is going to be intriguing. They've released a couple other fights, like Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez. Sick fight. It looks like it's going to main event Seattle. You have Jared Cannonier versus Gregory Rodriguez. That's a good fight. I don't know that I love it for a main event, I will say, because Gregory Rodriguez is unranked. I'd like to see 2 ranked guys in a fucking main event for once, but it's a good fight. You know RoboCop is tough as nails. Gonna bring the fight all the time. Jared Cannonier coming off a couple losses back-to-back, but he's looking to get back in the win column, so it's a good fight. Quarter 1 of 2025 is looking good. Now, the main event of the first fight night of the year is Ribas versus Dern 2. think we can do better, UFC, but it is what it is. I get it. You want us to stink us up for the first fight night of the year, just so that way that first pay-per-view feels that much more epic. I can't wait. UFC 311 is stacked top to bottom. UFC 312 is a great main event and co-main event kicking off. Cannot wait to see how this goes. Make sure you tune in. Quarter 1 of 25 is going to be legendary.